Hello guys, Nigel here again, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and I've got a review for you today. This is a kit review, and this is going to be my entry, if I'm allowed to enter because I don't do Facebook. But Steve Mottram has done a IDF group build which finishes in June this year, and I'm planning on building this as part of that group build, and if I'm not allowed to enter or whatever, then it's just going to be a build on my channel. I've seen his build of his Merkava. Go and have a look, Motty's Models. His YouTube channel, and it really inspired me to get into my IDF stash and have a look. I bought this kit a good 2 or 3 years ago from a show. A guy was selling off his stash, and I managed to get this and the Meng Merkava 3 with the Baz Mine Roller. And that kit also comes with the Trumpeter, or this one I got came with the Trumpeter individual length workable tracks, and I got both 50 quid for the lot. I couldn't believe that. I was really chuffed. So I mean, you can pay £50 for that Merkava on its own. So yeah, so I've had this a good couple of years. It's been in my stash, but as always with Hobby Boss, really well made, really strong boxes. So you know, it could be brand new off the shelf. They really do know how to package their kits. They're part of Trumpeter, so Trumpeter is the same. Some of the manufacturers, Revell for instance, need to take note, because you get a Revell box and you put a cocktail stick thing on the top and it collapses. So anyway, this is the IDF APC Armoured Personnel Carrier Nagmachon, I think that's the correct way to say it, and this is the Doghouse 1 version. Now this is kind of the middle of the road version. The first one didn't have this structure on the top, and if you go to John Moore Scale Models, he's actually built, done a kit review and built the model, that one. It's lovely looking. I prefer the look of the Doghouse. Then on top of this you got the Doghouse 2, which has got all the photo etch, well not the photo etch, the mesh around the, here it is here. This is the Doghouse 2 version. Let's just check not reflecting light. You can see it's pretty much the same design. It's just got all the extra railings around the ear. So the anti what's it called? Anti-IED stuff. I can't remember what it's called now. I've got a brain fade. So yeah, we've got a length of 227mm. We've got a width of 119.6mm. It's also quite tall. It's a very good looking model. The kit number is 83869, as we can see on there, and then on the side of the box you can see we've got a scheme of the model there, and then we've got some detail there, and I'll bring that up and you can focus on that and read it if you want to. It's some really good detail on there. Thank you very much, Hobby Boss. We've got some great big Israeli flags here which are never shown on the box front. 3 sheets of photo etch, which is cool. So it's a 2016 kit, so you can see it's not actually that old. It must have been fairly new when I bought it, because I've had it at least 2 years. And then we've got, you can see the kit number there, and then we've got some more layout here and some health and safety. And notice it's not a toy, it's 14 years plus, okay? This product is not a toy, okay? I thought I'd better get that one in. Inside the box we have got, as you can see, it's pretty full, and typical of Hobby Boss, again like Trumpeter, fantastic packaging. We've got an instruction manual, colour call out guide, stuff we've got coming. There's this one there, so there's our paperwork, and then we've got our sprues in here, individual length tracks and wheels and everything. Main hull, we've got some separate tyre type things, the some more structure, the sort of turret thing that goes on the top, photo etch and clear parts. So let's get all this open and we'll have a look, but first of all we'll go through the instructions. Right, here we are then. This is the instruction booklet, typical sort of Trumpeter Hobby Boss layout, and as we can see, black and white image, description of the model, some health and safety and some hints and tips information there. We've got our legends across here, legends being, as you look through the manual you will see there are symbols used, like it says here, no cement. You've got this black square with a white cross in it. You can see no cement, so it's telling you, but generally they tell you what the legend is alongside the instructions, but sometimes they don't. So that's, if you see a sign in the model and you don't know what it is, you go back to here and you'll see what it is. How to apply your decals, which is something I should read because I always seem to have problems with decals. If you've just seen my my Buk missile video, you'll see what I mean. Everything I do with decals, I seem to have an issue with it as soon as I turn the camera on. I don't know. So here we've got our sprue call out. You can see we've got decals, photo etching everything down here. Excuse the dog barking. No, okay. Wheel and tyre assembly here. Now, don't think for a minute that you can actually get away with painting the wheels and then adding the tyres. That's not why they've done it. The reason they've done it, and you'll see when I build this, is the way the Centurion wheel is. I'm glad they've done this because it makes it more accurate. Rather than just having the rim coming out, say this is your wheel here. Say this is the wheel center. You've got your rim coming out like this. Okay, it doesn't just come out like this and have a tire. It sort of comes out and it goes up. So you've got like a an enclosure that if on the full size thing you could actually put your hand in and grab this edge here. So what they've done, they've molded it like that so that you actually get that return. It would be impossible to mold that in one piece. So don't think that this is the benefit of having separate wheels and tires is for painting. It's not. It's for actually getting that feature, which is a really nice touch, and I'm glad they've done it. I'll show you when we look at the parts. You'll actually see that the wheel rim is actually incorporated in that tire, and some people will say, you know, why have they done that? It's a waste of time. Well, that's why. It's so you get that return. Sprocket assembly here, idler assembly going here. You've got our suspension here. Little bit of history. This vehicle, the Nagmachon, was originally a Nagmashot, which was originally a Centurion. Now the Israelis got some tanks off the British, some Centurion tanks, and then at the end of the day, when they had some better stuff come along, rather than just scrap them, they converted them into other things. So you've got the Puma, you've got the Nagmashot, you've got the Nagmachon, you've got the Nagmachon Doghouse in brackets 1, and you've got the Nagmachon in brackets 2 Doghouse. So basically they all came from the Centurion hull. This hull has retained the Centurion suspension. Some of the Pumas were updated with Merkava suspension, which is like a more like a sort of Christie type suspension, I think. It's longer coil springs. So yeah, and this is why I love the IDF stuff. It's because, like, if you look at in their Yom Kippur, they captured the T-54s and T-55s, and then renamed them Tiran 4, Tiran 5, and then you got the Tiran 5 Shearer with the 105mm gun, and then after they didn't want them anymore, they turned them into the Akarzits, whatever they're called. I can't remember, Akrazits. And they became armoured personnel carriers also. Beautiful looking things. Meng does a couple of versions of it. They do the early version, which retains all the T-55 wheels and everything, and then do a later version, which I think has Merkava wheels and stuff on it. I'm not sure. But yeah, so basically look those up. They are also very interesting looking models. So anyway, I digress. This is the Centurion suspension going together here. It looks like you may be able to have some movement if you don't glue stuff. We'll have a look when we look at the parts. And then we've got our, this is our back panel going on here. Then we've got the hull. Now, basically, I've just noticed it says Machon there, or Machon should I say. Hobby Boss also do a Nagmashot, so, or Nagmachot, I guess it's called. So you could, I would have thought it would have been the same hull, but it's not. They're telling you to make some holes here, and then you're adding some suspension components, and then you're adding your idlers here. I always say it, don't glue them on, leave them loose, and then you can get your track tension absolutely perfect. Then we've got our girders going in here, which are going to support our outer shielding armour. Hooks, towing hooks going on, and then adding the upper hull. Lovely looking upper hull on the Centurion. It's got that sort of M60 type sort of flared in, lovely sort of posh rear end. These parts here moulded out, will be interesting to see what they look like. And then we've got our armour going on the front there. Individual track links are going to be glued together and everything. You may decide to use aftermarket tracks or whatever. And then we've got some more greeblies and hooks and lights and stuff going on there, and a couple of jerry cans going in the back. Then we're going to add a lot of detail here to our side fenders. You may decide to add the fenders first. We've got some lovely PE brackets going on there. light fittings, light guards, all very, very nice. Knowing Hobby Boss, it's all probably beautifully moulded as well. And then we've got some other bits and pieces and greeblies going on top of our wheel arches there. And then we're going to make up some PE light guards and everything there. Here's the other sort of arch. I call them wheel arches, but they're not, they're the track guards. Going on the side, adding the arches on there. And then we've got our starter armour on the top. And you can see that basically we've got this huge hole where the turret would be on a Centurion. We're going to fill that in with armour and stuff. We've got some more drilling to do, probably replace these handles with brass wire. And then this is going to be our driver's lookout area, all armoured up and everything. And then we've got this cover here which is going to go on top of the hull. The doghouse bit, which is where the gunman can look out and stuff. They've got their armoured glazing going in there. Adding our machine guns to the roof. And then we've got the base here going on. And then we've got machine guns coming out of the side. You can see it's very well armoured, or very well armed, should I say. And then we've got some more armour going on here. And again, this is going to be such a beautiful model when it's built, because it's got so many nooks and crannies and corners and nuts and bolts, and God, it's just covered. There's no, you know, it's going to be fantastic for dry brushing. PE guards going around here. This is like the first sort of genre of the protection for the glazing. Adding all that on there. It's nice that they've given us that in PE rather than moulded plastic. These little plastic arms here you might decide to change for some rod and solder on, I don't know, we'll see. And then we've got our track armour going on the side there. And then we're going to add it all together, and we've got this lovely sort of basket type aerial thing. If somebody can tell me what that's called, I don't know what it's called, but it's a lovely looking thing, although it's very, very fragile. So I would actually suggest leaving that right off until the very end, right before you put it in your display case. Stick it on then. And then we've got a stretcher going here. IDF vehicles always seem to have a stretcher or two on them. And then this looks like a step for getting up on the side, so you can either have that in the raised or the lowered position here. And that's it. And step 18 is have a look at your model. And again, we've got 20 pages. Anybody noticed that it seems that all these kits I review, they always seem to have 20 pages. Very strange. So there we go, that's the finished model. So colour call-outs, nothing really much to see. Sinai grey, so you're going to mix that yourself. I've made my own mix of it. You can actually get a Vallejo colour of it now. I'm not sure which number it is. I'll have a look now and I'll come back and let you know. But then, yeah, so let's get these bags open and have a look at some of the plastic. Right, so as I mentioned just now, the paints. These are the Vallejo options. So you've got 7614, which is one of their surface primers, which is horrible stuff. I've never tried it. All I know is with these polyurethane primers you cannot rub them down, so don't use it as a primer if you're going to be doing any sanding or anything, because it doesn't work. So you've got here IDF's Israeli Sand, that's your sand grey, sorry, 61 to 73 colour, and then from 73 up until 80, 82 you've got this IDF Sand Grey, which is 71141, and then you've got the IDF Sinai Grey, which is the modern one, 82 on. Now, as you can see, they kind of got more of a tan shade to them. They went from this grey sort of browny colour to this more tan shade, and they went back to a darker sort of grey. And although they're all called grey, they're not, they're browns. Now if you look at the AK Real Colours set, which I still don't have and I must get, in fact I think I'll order it after I've done this video, because AK Real Colours is one of my favourite paints, they're bloody awesome. They've called it IDF Early Sand Yellow, and then they've got, which is going to be, no, that's going to be that one, they're calling that Sand Yellow. And then they've got the IDF Modern Grey, which is going to be the Sinai Grey, this one, which is the darker of the three. And then they've got this one here, which is the IDF Sand Grey 70s, 1980s. So there's a lot of sort of talk about it, about different shades and what the right colours are for the right vehicles, for the right periods and everything. But bear in mind, guys, these vehicles spend 100% of their life out in the sun. So they're going to get faded, they get walked all over, sandblasted, dirty with soot, you know, God knows what. No one can really tell you what the right shade is at the right period of time and everything. And, you know, I tend to sort of don't get too anal about colours and stuff. I know I tend to be a bit of a rivet counter at times, which annoys a lot of people, but I don't get too anal about colours and shades and stuff, because, you know, unless you actually go there and go and stand next to these vehicles and put your colours up next to them, then yeah. So let's have a look at these plastics. First sprue here is A, and this is obviously our wheels. These are basically Centurion wheels, and we can see we've got some lovely detail there with the holes in them, some lovely bolt detail. We get 2 of these sprues, by the way. We've got separate centre hubcaps, and yeah, if we look on there, we can see got lovely detail on them, nice bolt detail. And again, as I was saying, this this rim, you can see the wheel rim here is just flat. Okay, it comes out, they can't mould a return on it. So what you've got is these tyres, which are separate parts, and as you can see, it's got a big return in the back, and you can see on the front of the tyre you've got there the wheel rim. So when you put that on the wheel, what you actually get is a return. So you're getting a step up and then down into the wheel rim. It forms like a trough, and that is what you're after for accuracy. It's a very good way of achieving it. Or what other thing they could have done is just moulded it as one and had it straight, but it wouldn't be right. The only other way you could do it is with resin. So yeah, really nice touch, thank you Hobby Boss. And it does look really good on the finished model, because you get that sort of hollow look in there. So that's like, you get 24 of these tyres and you get 2 of these sprue A's. So I'll just put it back in the box. Sprue here, this one is sprue D, and we're going to get 1 of these. And on this sprue we've got some cubby boxes and stuff, doors, got some covers here. We've got our main gearbox casings, which are quite prominent on a Centurion because they sort of stick out the side of the hull. This is the back, this is the front. So you glue the back onto the front, and then that goes onto the side of the hull. So you can see it's quite a prominent thing. Centurions are also a very big vehicle. It's a very big, heavy looking vehicle. If you want to see one, they've got one at Cosford Air Museum. They've got one there in the Cold War Museum. So yeah, really nice, lovely bolt detail on there. Again, washes and dry brushing are going to make all that pop beautifully. So looking like a lovely kit, this one, as usual. Hobby Boss normally is. This is sprue K. So again, we've got our doors here. We've got the arrow slits, I guess you call them, where the guns come through, and we've got some lovely texture on there as well, which is a real nice touch. And we've got the sides of our doghouse here. Something worth noting with the Tiger models, I've seen a review of the Tiger models kit, and they have ejector pin marks on the outside. So the inside face gets glued up against the plastic panel, never be seen again, and they put their ejector pin marks on the outside, and I think they're actually the big raised things as well. So it's a bit of an issue with that kit, I believe. And then we've got some more sort of protective, some armoured covers there. Really nice touch. Here we have got sprue G, and we get 2 of these. So we've got some detail, unusual way of moulding it, but the detail is all on this side for these smoke dispensers. We've got our stretcher there, which is very nice, the framework for the stretcher. That's the step there with the moulded on checker plate for climbing up in. And then we've got some parts here which are our girders that support the side the side armour. I lost my words then. And then we've got some little bits and pieces and greeblies and hooks and everything. Return rollers there, and then we've got the actual idlers there, which have got some lovely detail in them. Really nice, you can see there. Beautifully done. So yeah, machine guns there, which are very sharply moulded. Very nice indeed. Track links. 4 of these sprues. Please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe these are standard Centurion tracks. 4 connection points on each link, but no ejector pin marks, and a lovely sort of cast texture on them. You can see that there, really nicely done. Yeah, not workable, obviously. You're going to be gluing them together, but hey, you know, you don't want to play with your tank. But the nice thing about workable tracks is you can normally get a nice amount of sag in them, and you're also able to display it on uneven surfaces if you want. And they're not usually such a ball ache to put together as these are. So yeah, they're lovely, really nice. Accuracy, I don't know, but they do look very nice. as a plastic moulded component. Here we've got sprue C, and again we get 2 of these. So these are our main suspension uprights here. These go into the side of the hull. This is the outer side. Lovely bolt detail on there. We've got a rubber bump stops here. Main sprockets. Unfortunately, they've got the sprue nibs down the side of the teeth rather than on the ends of them, but at least they're not in the root. When they're in the root, that can be quite annoying. We've got some hooks here, some more return rollers. These are the mounts for the return rollers. Suspension components down here, swinging arms. We've got some water cans or jerry cans, whatever they are. Some springs here. You can see one of mine has just been broken here. But very finely moulded indeed. They're going to look lovely with a wash and everything on them. Got spare track links there which go on the back end. Again, that's been broken off of there, so obviously had a little bit of a beating at some point. Beautifully moulded little jerry can holder there, and the actual sprocket. Some lovely detail in the sprocket there as well. Very nice. And then moving on to here, we have got sprue J, and as you can see, this has got protective film under it. We'll have a look under that in a minute. Part of our side armour, and we've got our end covers for our track guards. This is the mast here that supports the area. We've got 2 of those for antennae. A hatch for some sort of area there. We've got a hatch with hinges on the side. Not exactly sure what this is, but part of the side armour, I think. And there's some other bits and pieces. And underneath here, we have some beautifully moulded railings for the rear end of the superstructure over the engine cover. A little bit of flash on there, a gentle scrape with a knife and that'll be gone. There's nothing to it really. Let's just have a look. Yeah, nothing to it, it's gone. So nothing really much to worry about there. So, but as always with Hobby Boss and Trumpeter, very well protected and worth keeping the protection on until you actually need the parts. More armour here. So this is the inside faces. So we got ejector pin marks in there, but they're all going to go inside these boxes here. So not a problem at all. So that's the outside face. That's what you're going to see, and very nice detail. We've got these hooks here which are moulded on. If you really want to make them pop, take a brand new blade, run around like this around the edge. This isn't a brand new blade, so it doesn't have a sharp point on it. But run around like this and just undercut the corner, and it kind of makes it look like it's round, and it makes it like a part stuck on rather than a sort of 2-dimensional moulding. Well, it's 3-dimensional, but it gives it an undercut. But I should be doing that on here. I'll show you when I do the build. We've got some more armour here, which is really, really nice. That's the front plate for the top of the hull. And then this is the bits. These actually go sort of above the armour here, and they got some big heavy chains hanging off them. I'm trying to work out the size and scale I need. If anybody actually knows, could you please tell me in the comments below the size of chain link I need to get hold of, and perhaps where I could get it from, because I've looked on eBay and all I can really find is the smaller stuff. I've got a load of like 1.9 by 0.9 and some 2.5 by 1.2 I think. But I think I need about 4 by 2 on this. Quite chunky chain links. So if you know in the comments, please let me know. But yeah, all lovely lovely texture on it, all nicely moulded, very, very sharp, very, very crisp. Lovely, lovely kit. Here we've got our engine cover. Again, it's got a lovely shape on it, which I love on the back of the Centurion. And yeah, lovely panelling, grills on there. We've got the checker plate sort of on there. Again, we can go around the side of these and scribe them in to make them look more 3-dimensional. And we've got our track guards there with the stiffeners moulded on, so they're not separate, which is a nice touch. Fuel filler cap there. Very, very nice. Nice moulded detail on there. How many times have I said nice in this video? Right, upper structure. So there's the upper armour plate. Again, we've got some panels to go on there, panels on there, panels on there. This is basically going to sit on top of the hull, and some huge sprue connection points there that have been cut off in the factory. Nice to see they've stayed well away from the parts. Sometimes they go so close to the parts they rip a chunk out of them, but that's been nicely cut off. And then we've got the actual doghouse here, which goes on the top. Again, sprue connection points cut off away from the part. But that is so sharp that almost cuts your finger. It's really nice, really nicely molded. There's a sprue connection point on there which is going to take a bit of work, but then a bit of careful clean up and just sort of get a rounded blade, kind of eye it up, and then you can just sort of roll the blade over it like so, like that, and then you can come along this way. Be careful because this blade's a little bit blunt. Come along this way and just cut it away from behind. Yeah, I'm not going to chance that blade's a bit blunt, but you see what I mean. You get a round blade and you kind of roll it like this, and that gives you a nice cut. In fact, if I use this blade, because I just want to show you, God, this plastic feels very hard. I just want to show you how nice you can get that to come off. I'm going to take your round blade again, roll along the edge, go in the back and flick it off, and you can see there with minimum cleanup you can take that sprue connection away and you leave a nice flat finish on that edge. A little bit of a run over the sand and sticky, you'll never know it was there. I digress. And then finally, for the plastic parts, rather than the clear, we've got the hull. Main hull, as I said, it's a big old bird, the Centurion, and this hull is 20 centimeters long. And then when we start adding bits and pieces onto it, it's going to be a big old model. You can see pretty much how tall it's going to be. I mean, it's just the hull, and that is nearly 80 millimeters tall. So yeah, it's going to be a big old bird, big old sort of canvas to do your weathering and stuff on. We can see we've got some lovely detail on there. Kind of nice to see the hull is made up in one piece. Although I do enjoy building hull structures like AFV Club normally have you build them, and yeah, it's a nice touch. Access panels on the bottom, a couple of injection point marks there, so they need to be cleaned up. And yeah, we've got some holes to drill in here as well, if you remember looking in the instructions, purely because they can't sort of mould them in. Clear parts, we get 2 sprues, the same, and sorry, they're not the same, they're different. And yeah, they're sort of basically windows and stuff. We'll give those a coat of the Tamiya's X28, X25 clear green and get them looking sort of nice and thick. And we've got our PE. As I say, we've got 3 sheets of PE. Very simple one here, sort of simple boxes there and some gussets and stuff. And then on this one here, we've got that beautiful area which goes on the back, and you can see what I mean about it being fine. Here's our bolted or riveted strips to go on our fenders, which is nice. And then we've got some, looks like it's going to be light covers and stuff, light armour should I say, not light covers. And then we've got the armour going around the sides of the actual doghouse itself. So nice touch. And then absolutely finally, here we've got our decals, which is the Star of David. Now that blue looks a little bright to me. I'm not sure what you think, but that looks a little bright to me. I'm just going to stand up to make sure you're not just seeing a big reflection in the camera. But yeah, we've got some serial numbers here to go on and some license plates and stuff. So nice one. So overall, a very impressive model, especially considering, if you consider that the model I bought it with, the Merkava, was £50, this was free. So thanks for watching. Tune back in. You will see a build of this start very, very shortly. I need to start it now because I've only got until June to finish it, if I'm sort of allowed, if that's the right word, to enter the group build. So as I say, thanks for watching. I will be up with another review today or tomorrow of a modelling product, and I will be doing a giveaway on that, and it'll be a tiny little competition which will run for, I don't know, 5 days or something, and it'll be a little competition where you have to guess something and the closest one wins. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all very soon, and happy modelling. Bye for now.